You're alone, lying down, staring at the ceiling. Everything seems calm, but suddenly a tightness hits your chest. The air starts to race. Your heart races for no reason, and a cold sweat breaks out as if something terrible is about to happen. You sit up in bed, trying to breathe deeply, trying to convince yourself, it's just anxiety. It'll pass. It'll pass. But what if it isn't? How long will you repeat this phrase like an empty mantra, thinking you're just being anxious, when in fact you could be ignoring a breakdown that your body has been screaming about for years? This video isn't about fear, it's about awakening, because no one should treat the fact that they feel like they are dying when they are not as normal. Jordan Peterson once said, "The body speaks what the mind refuses to face." This pain in my chest didn't start today. It's the accumulation of years of silence, of swallowed words, of exceeded limits, of suffocating responsibilities, of a weariness that's not just physical, it's existential. Have you ever stopped to think about this? Chest pain is a warning. It's the body screaming, you went too far trying to carry it all alone. Shortness of breath is the cry of the soul. I can't stand living like this anymore. And what about cold sweat? It's a biological signal that something inside you is running away from something that needs to be faced. But nobody taught you that. You learned that feeling anxious was a waste of time, that men don't cry, that strong women can handle anything, that being an adult means holding back tears and going to work as if everything is fine. You've been conditioned to believe that emotional pain needs to be hidden, and that if it leaks through your body, then it must just be a dysfunction, a flaw, something that can be silenced with a pill. But here's a truth that maybe no one has told you yet. You're not broke. You're overwhelmed. You're not sick. You're carrying more than any human being should carry, alone. And if you don't stop, if you don't listen to this body now, this body will stop you, in the worst way. Do you know why? Because the body is honest. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't mask itself. It's not afraid to shock you. The body is the messenger of the soul, and you are trying to silence this messenger as if he were the enemy. Peterson says that unconfronted chaos turns into a monster, and this monster swallows you up from within. That's exactly what severe anxiety does. It starts as discomfort, muscle tension, a mild fear, but when ignored, it grows, it gains strength, it takes shape, until it becomes this internal tsunami that leaves you paralyzed, terrified, on the brink of an emergency no one can see. And here's the point, it's not just anxiety, it's you drowning in everything you never had room to feel. Stay with me until the end of this video because you need to understand what these symptoms are really trying to tell you. You need to listen, really listen, to this body you're punishing with silence. Because ignoring an emotional symptom is like turning off the fire alarm and continuing to live in a burning house. You don't realize it when it starts. The escape disguises itself as productivity, as I'm just tired, as it's just another goal to achieve, as just one more project. You say yes to everything, pushing your pain forward while trying to keep the world afloat with your bare hands. But the truth is, you're running away from feeling, running away from stopping, running away from realizing that something inside you is broken, out of place, crying out for help. And this escape, which seemed like a solution, begins to trap you. At first, it's just a detour. Then it becomes routine. And when you realize it, it became a prison. You start avoiding silence, avoiding being alone, avoiding thinking, turn on the TV, scroll through Instagram for hours, drink coffee to get through, take sleeping pills. You fill yourself with distractions because deep down you're terrified of what you'll find if you stop. Peterson teaches that the truth you most avoid is the very place where your soul is trapped. And anxiety is just that, a symptom of an avoided truth. The pain in your chest isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's an internal collision between who you've become and who you need to be. You are trying to live a life that no longer fits you, and your body is rebelling against it. Escape, over time, becomes torture. You pretend everything is fine at work, but you feel an inexplicable anguish every time your alarm clock goes off. You smile at family lunches, but your stomach churns inside as if you're in danger. You talk to people, but your mind is 1,000 miles away, trying to survive another day without falling apart. This is the prison of anxiety. being surrounded by people and still feeling alone, being busy all the time and still feeling empty, being alive but not feeling like you're living, and, worst of all, you get used to it. You normalize the pain. You become an expert in disguise, but the body doesn't pretend. The body betrays. The body breaks where you're trying to hold on. Peterson states that ignoring chaos doesn't make it go away. It just makes it grow in the dark. And that's exactly what's happening. His escape built a cell, and this cell has a name: denial. You are trapped inside a version of yourself that has learned to survive, but has unlearned how to live. And anxiety is telling you this every day. She is the jailer knocking on the door of your unconscious and saying, "You need to get out of here, now." But leaving takes courage, demands to stop pretending. It requires looking in the mirror and asking, who have I become trying to please everyone? How many no's have I swallowed to maintain relationships that make me sick? How many dreams have I abandoned to fit into a role that isn't even mine? You need to stop running away. And you need to do this before your body gives out on you. The alarm has already sounded. Smoke has already invaded the rooms of your life. You're still trying to cleanse the smell with emotional incense, but the fire is lit, and only you can erase it. Jordan Peterson would say that there is something in you that knows when you are betraying your own soul. And if you listen carefully, that's what anxiety is trying to say. You wake up in the middle of the night. Your heart is racing. The room is quiet, but your mind feels like a siren blaring. You try to breathe. You count to 10. You wonder if you're having a heart attack. You think about getting up, calling someone, but you freeze. This is the moment when anxiety stops being just a visitor and becomes the driver of your life. And maybe no one has told you this yet, but you are no longer in control. It's anxiety that chooses what you wear, who you talk to, what you avoid. She is the one who decides whether you will leave the house today, if you're going to answer the phone, whether you will be able to remain silent or whether you will run away from it again. Peterson speaks clearly. Unresolved anxiety takes the helm of the boat of your life and takes you into the waters you most fear to sail. And that's what's happening. You no longer live by will. You live by prevention. Avoid people to avoid having a crisis. Avoid places to avoid a crisis. Avoid decisions so as not to worsen the crisis. And what's left of you? A reduced version. Erased. Scared. Tired. Someone who always lives on the verge of collapse even when everything is apparently calm. The cruelest thing about severe anxiety is that it steals even what you haven't experienced yet. She anticipates tragedies. She invents catastrophic scenarios. She paints the future with colors so dark that you stop walking, afraid of falling into an abyss that doesn't even exist, but that seems absolutely real. And this paralysis, this feeling of being on constant alert, waiting for something terrible to happen, is a clear symptom that you're not dealing with something small. You are not overreacting. You are not too sensitive. You are at internal war. And wars are not won with denial. They win with the right weapons and with courage. Peterson would say, the monster grows when you retreat, but it retreats when you step forward. But I know, you're tired. Tired of fighting something no one sees. Tired of explaining a pain that doesn't show up on exams. Tired of pretending to be strong when everything inside you is asking for rest. So let me tell you something right now, straight up, just the way you need to hear it. You are not alone. You're not crazy, and you are not condemned to live like this forever. But you need to act. You need to do it differently. You need to understand what this anxiety wants to show you. If this resonates with you in any way, please subscribe and like. This makes this video reach someone who may be desperate right now. And you will have been a part of it, because there is someone right now in this second going through exactly what you are feeling. And maybe this video will reach him because of you. Anxiety takes over when you give up on controlling your own story. But the good news is, you can take the helm back, not all at once, but with small steps, with conscience, with force, with the decision to stop running away and start looking within. And that path begins now. Have you ever noticed how your body speaks when you are silent? The pain in your chest, the tightness in your throat, the feeling that something is wrong, even when everything around you seems right. What if I told you that none of this is random? Anxiety, when it hits the body, is not attacking out of nowhere. She is translating what you are unable to put into words. She is the voice of what has been repressed. Peterson warns us, everything you avoid looking at within yourself will come back with force through the open door. And often, that door is your body. So let's decode what he's trying to tell you. Chest pain may be more than a symptom. It is the accumulated weight of so many situations in which you remained silent. It's the accumulation of all the times you said yes, wanting to scream no. It's the emotional echo of relationships that suffocated you, environments that diminished you, pressures you absorbed as if it were your obligation to carry. The chest tightens because it is full of unexpressed emotions. Shortness of breath is another sacred sign. It's like something inside you is screaming, I need space. Space to be you, to feel, to fail without being punished, to rest without guilt, to be imperfect without being discarded. When you live in a constant attempt to meet unrealistic expectations, whether those of others or your own, your soul collapses, and the body responds. The cold sweat, in turn, is the nervous system trying to save you. He thinks you are in danger, not a physical danger, but an emotional danger. The fear of being rejected, humiliated, exposed, abandoned, and all of this, accumulated, becomes a minefield inside you. At any moment something explodes, and you feel like you're going to die, but you won't die. You are simply faced with a truth that no longer wants to be ignored. Jordan Peterson says that internal chaos can only be tamed when it is named, and you need to name what you're feeling, not with shame, but with courage, because as long as you try to solve anxiety without listening to what it wants to tell you, you will live putting out fires without realizing where the fire comes from. So stop right now, close your eyes for a moment, and ask yourself, what have I been avoiding feeling? What inside me has been repressed for years? What can I never say out loud but my body screams every day? And that's the starting point. It's not about fighting anxiety as an enemy. It's about understanding that she is the messenger of something deeper, something that needs to be looked at, cured, transformed. Peterson does not treat symptoms as errors. He sees them as clues. And every symptom in your body is an emotional clue, a key, a password that opens doors locked for decades inside you. You are not weak for feeling all of this. You are human, and your body is fighting to not let you forget that. Relax, it's just anxiety. You're exaggerating. It will pass. Stop thinking nonsense. Phrases like these, often said with good intentions, become emotional traps. Because every time you say or hear that it is just anxiety, you lessen the scream your body is trying to let out. You turn an emotional emergency into a trivial inconvenience. And then, out of shame, fear, or tiredness, you start to swallow the pain. Pretend everything is fine. Put a smile on your face. Go back to work, to your relationship, to your routine. While inside you, there is a volcano about to explode. Peterson is clear in stating, denying, suffering doesn't transform it into strength. It only pushes it underground where it ferments until it becomes a demon. And that's what you're living. This expression, it's just anxiety, has become a cultural excuse, a way of silencing those who suffer, and of invalidating a symptom that most of the time has a much deeper origin than it seems. You say it's just anxiety when you don't want to appear weak, when you are afraid of being judged, when you don't want to worry those around you. But the problem with saying this all the time is that over time you believe it, and when you believe your pain doesn't deserve attention, you stop seeking help, you stop questioning what's wrong. You settle into invisible, silent, chronic suffering. Jordan Peterson has already said that the trivialization of suffering is one of the most subtle forms of self-destruction. And when you say it's just anxiety, you are, without realizing it, digging your own well. A well where no one listens to you, where no one sees how much it hurts. And the most dangerous thing, where you stop listening to yourself. Know what you should say instead? This is a symptom, and I'm going to look at it seriously. This is a wake-up call, and I refuse to ignore it. This is real, and I deserve attention even if no one understands. The "it's just anxiety" trap also prevents you from seeing that this pain has roots. Roots in your history, in the childhood that you had to endure, in the losses you could never cry, in the traumas you pretended to forget, in the pressures you accepted as if they were part of being an adult. And when all this accumulates, the body explodes. He draws his mind. The soul becomes ill. And do you know what's cruelest? The more you ignore it, the more your body screams. And when the body screams, life begins to crumble. Relationships wear out. Work becomes a martyrdom. You isolate yourself, disconnect, lose the will to live. And yet, amidst the chaos, you repeat, "It's just anxiety." But it isn't. It never was. It's the somatization of what you didn't have the time, courage, or space to feel. And if you keep repeating that phrase, you will numb the only chance for transformation that pain offers you. Peterson would say, don't minimize what could be the beginning of your salvation. So the next time you feel chest pain, rapid heartbeat, cold sweat, paralysis, don't say it's just anxiety. Say, this is important. There's a reason for this, and I'm going to find out what it is. Have you ever thought that your body might be trying to save you? Not just warning you, but literally save you. Save from the routine that destroys you in silence. Save from the overload you have normalized. Save yourself from the role you took on to please everyone but yourself. The pain you feel can be a cry for help, but it can also be a call for change. Jordan Peterson is blunt when he says, pain is not a mistake, it is information, it is direction. What if the anxiety that stops you, that makes you break out in a cold sweat, that makes your heart race, is the most visceral way your body has found to say, this is not working anymore? But most people, instead of listening, remain silent. They ignore. They swallow medicine after medicine, but they don't change the routine. Relationships don't change. They don't change the way they treat each other. And the body keeps trying. It's like a fire alarm that no one turns off because they put a headset on the chaos, but one day he screams louder, and that's when you think you're dying, but again, it's not dying. You are being pushed into the life you should be living. Peterson reminds us, you can lie to yourself for years, but your body will always tell you the truth. If you live in a routine where you don't sleep well, don't breathe deeply, don't enjoy almost anything and feel like the world is a burden, then yes, your body will react. He doesn't want you to get used to this state. He wants you to wake up. And awakening, most of the time, begins with pain. Just as a fever warns the body of an infection, anxiety warns the soul of a deep imbalance. But instead of treating the cause, you try to silence the warning. Wake up tired and have coffee. There's a crisis on the subway and they say it's just stress. He gets tachycardia in the middle of a conversation and says, it will pass. But what doesn't pass is life slipping through our fingers. And you know it. Deep down, you know. The body wants you to change, wants you to face that postponed conversation. Let go of that toxic relationship. Stop accepting everything so as not to be rejected. Let him start saying no. Look in the mirror and say, I refuse to live in fear of myself. Peterson states with brutal clarity, if your life is built on lies, suffering will come to destroy what is not true. And maybe your current suffering is not the end. Maybe this is the beginning of the truth. So listen, before it becomes unbearable, before the body has to stop forcibly. If this makes sense to you, like and subscribe. You may be helping someone else wake up from this same nightmare. Your click could get this message to someone on edge. And that is already part of your healing too. Because whoever wakes up begins to wake up others. Whoever listens to the body begins to listen to the soul. And whoever changes saves himself. You spend years trying to escape. He runs around, works too much, helps everyone, hides behind commitments, forced laughter, and suffocating routines. Does everything except stop. Because stopping would mean looking, and looking would mean feeling, and feeling would mean facing truths you might not be ready to bear. But let me tell you something. It is precisely at this moment that true healing begins. Jordan Peterson says, you don't become strong by avoiding chaos. You become strong by facing it voluntarily. And the chaos you avoid is within you. These are memories that hurt. These are unprocessed traumas. These are truths too difficult to say out loud. But denying all this is like letting garbage accumulate under the rug. One day the smell escapes, and the body, always the body, is responsible for showing that there is something there that needs to be cleaned. Severe anxiety, the kind that paralyzes you, gives you a racing heart, makes your body sweat in the middle of a normal conversation. It's not there to punish you. She's there to show you need to stop running away. Looking inside is not comfortable. You will find parts of yourself that you have rejected, dreams you abandoned, sorrows that he pretended to forget, guilt that he swallowed in silence. But it is in this seemingly dark terrain that its power lies buried. Peterson uses the metaphor of the mythical hero who enters the cave to face the dragon. And what does the dragon guard? The gold, the treasure. You want peace, but you don't want to go through the pain. You want freedom, but you're afraid to face the emotional prison you've built for yourself. And that is understandable. You were taught to be afraid of what you feel, believing that too much emotion is weakness, that crying is a waste of time, that opening up is dangerous. But here's a secret. All healing begins with vulnerability. You need to have the courage to say, I am not well. I can't do it alone. I want to understand what is destroying me inside. And from then on, something changes. The courage to look within is the first step to breaking out of the eternal cycle of fear and repression. It doesn't mean that everything will be resolved at once. It means you stopped running, and he began to listen. Peterson states, it is better to face pain now, voluntarily, than to be destroyed by it later, involuntarily. And this is real. How many times have you pretended everything was fine until your body imploded? How many crises have you had without anyone noticing? Because you learned to smile while you suffered. This mask is heavy. This silence hurts. And your body knows. That's why he reacts. He tries to wake you up, tell you, look at me, listen to me, feel me. And when you finally answer that call, anxiety begins to change shape. She stops being a monster and becomes a messenger. She stops being an enemy and becomes a guide. Because now, you are looking inside. And whoever looks inside begins to transform everything around them. Have you ever wondered why a panic attack feels so close to death? The heart races, the chest tightens, are some, and you think, this is it, I'm going to die. But almost always, you don't die. And that's no coincidence. It's a symbol. It's a living metaphor. The crisis does not announce the end of your biological life. It heralds the collapse of a meaningless life. Jordan Peterson explains, what terrifies human beings most is not death itself, but the idea of living without purpose, without order, without responsibility that gives meaning to suffering. And maybe that's exactly what your anxiety is trying to show you. The fear of dying that you feel is, deep down, the fear of living without a reason, no direction, no route, without something to justify the weight of the days. Think with me, why do you wake up every morning? Just to survive? Just to pay bills? Fulfill obligations? Please others? Or is there something more? Something that makes the pain worth it? Peterson states that life is not about avoiding suffering, but finding a reason big enough to endure it. And without that reason, the body screams, the soul revolts, anxiety explodes. You are not afraid to die. You are afraid to realize that, until now, you have lived numb, who ran, fought, produced, but didn't truly live. And that is devastating. Because there is no greater pain than the feeling of wasting your own life, of breathing but not existing, of being surrounded by people but never really feeling seen, of being busy but without feeling purpose in anything. This emptiness is unbearable, and when it grows, the body reacts as if it were in mortal danger, because in a way it is. Death is not physical, it's spiritual, it's existential, but there is a way out. Peterson insists, the antidote to chaos is to voluntarily take responsibility for something meaningful. This means choosing. Choose a path. Choose a value. Choosing to carry a weight that makes life worth living. And it doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be about saving the world or changing human history. It could be something simple, but it needs to be real. It needs to be yours. It could be truly caring for your family. It could be writing that book you've been afraid to start. It can be transforming your pain into helping others. It could be about stopping hiding and finally embracing who you are. Anxiety doesn't go away when you try to eliminate it. She leaves when you understand what she wanted to tell you. And almost always, the message is this: you need to live in a way that makes sense. If you only work, only run, only complete tasks, only run away from pain, your body will continue screaming, because it wasn't made just to survive. He was made to live with purpose. So the next time you feel like you're dying, ask yourself, what inside me has already died because I never had the courage to live? What part of my soul have I buried in the name of acceptance, fear, or convenience? That's the point. It is not the fear of death that haunts you. It's the fear of never having truly lived. Have you ever noticed how anxiety convinces you that everything needs to change at once? That if you don't solve everything now, you'll remain lost forever? And it is precisely this thought that paralyzes you. You look at the chaos inside you and think, it's impossible. I won't be able to do it. But let me tell you something now, clearly. You don't have to fix everything at once. You just need to take one step. Jordan Peterson often states, if you can't fix everything, fix at least one corner of your life. That's the beginning of order. And that's what you need to understand. The way back is not a leap. It's a step, and then another, and another one. You didn't get out of that hole overnight. There were years of silence, of escape, of overload. So, everything won't be resolved in a snap, but it will start the moment you decide to walk. And walking sometimes means something small. It means sleeping an extra hour. It means saying no to a commitment that drains you. It means opening your heart in a sincere conversation. It simply means taking a deep breath and not running away from yourself. Peterson reminds us, you are not responsible for what has already happened, but you are absolutely responsible for the next step. That's the point, the next step. It doesn't matter if it looks small. The important thing is that it is true. If you're stuck in a cycle of pain, perhaps the first step is to seek professional help. Maybe it's starting to write about what you feel. Maybe it's telling someone you trust. Maybe it's turning off your cell phone for an hour so you don't get lost in distractions. Don't underestimate the power of small gestures, because it's in them that you begin to take back control. It is in them that you prove to yourself that you are not condemned to always live like this. Anxiety will try to convince you otherwise. You'll scream that you can't. You'll say it's no use. It will try to trap you back in the cycle of fear. But you can answer. You can get up even if you're shaking. You can take a step even if it is hesitant. You can start even if you're scared. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting even when fear is screaming inside you. If this video is helping you, like and share. Maybe someone needs to hear this today, in silence, like you once did. And your simple gesture could be the difference between someone giving up or taking the first step too. The way back doesn't have to be quick. It needs to be true. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be yours. Peterson says, don't try to become someone you're not. Try to become everything you can be. And that requires a beginning. It requires effort. It demands responsibility. Today you may be tired, broken, disbelieving, but you can still choose. It can still move. You can still start over. And all you need now is that first step. A step that can change the course of your entire life. We go back to the beginning. Chest pain, shortness of breath, cold sweat. You've lived this. Maybe yesterday, maybe today, maybe now. And the question that echoes within you remains unanswered. How long will you risk thinking it's just anxiety? Jordan Peterson reminds us, you can fool others, you can even fool yourself. But the body doesn't lie. It is the truth you refuse to face. And that's exactly what's happening. Your body has been more honest with you than your mind. He doesn't hide it. He doesn't pretend. It shows you in the most brutal way possible that something needs to change. But you have two choices in this regard: ignore or transform. If you continue to ignore it, the symptoms will worsen. The chest will tighten more. The air will be short more often. Cold sweats will become routine. And with each crisis, you will convince yourself that you are close to death, when in fact, he is increasingly distant from the life he should be living. Now, if you choose to transform, everything starts to change. Not because the pain suddenly goes away, but because you start to give it meaning. You understand that the body is not the enemy. It's a guide. It's a compass. It's an alarm. It is called, Peterson insists, responsibility is the path to redemption. When you take on the burden of change, you discover you were stronger than you imagined. And taking responsibility here means stopping waiting for anxiety to go away on its own. It means deciding that you will listen to what she is trying to say. It means accepting that running away doesn't work anymore. The invitation I make to you today is simple, but demanding. Stop treating your pain like a nuisance. Start treating her like a master, because she is. She is showing you the limits you have crossed. It's exposing the lies you told yourself. It is revealing the paths you should no longer follow. The question is, will you continue to deny it? Or will you finally accept that this body doesn't scream by chance? Look back. How many years have you wasted believing it was just anxiety? How many opportunities have you missed because you were afraid to feel? How many relationships have soured because you were stuck in silence? How many nights have you spent awake, swearing you wouldn't survive until dawn? And yet you survived. But surviving is not enough. The time to live has come. If this video brought you clarity, subscribe and leave a like. This could get this message across to someone who, right now, is on edge. And you will have been part of something bigger than yourself. Because no one deserves to face this pain alone. And your gesture could be the outstretched hand that someone silently begs for. The body has already spoken. The mind has already begged. The soul has already screamed. The decision is now yours. Keep ignoring or accept the call. Peterson would summarize it like this. Pain is inevitable. Useless suffering is optional. The path lies before you. What will you choose? The final invitation is not to think again, it is to act. Today. Now. While there is still time. Because if you ignore it, the body will come back to collect. But if you listen, you will finally start living.